Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? I am Dan from Trading with Dan. This is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So we find ourselves again at this resistance area. So at this resistance area, around the top side being around just in the high 30,000s. so it is make or break. Very low vol here. We've got to break into this range here, otherwise clearly this downside, which we are battling against pretty well at the moment in the face of obviously the volatility in the stock market also. But yeah, we need to get back into this range. Stock markets, as you can see, did have that major dump, and need to get back above this resistance here and then continue upwards into this zone ultimately before we could start to potentially say that we put in a bottom in these risk assets. That is not to say that will happen, but we need to kind of get it here and above before we can start to look for some medium term upside. What could help us though is this dollar index, which has broken back below this back below this support, back tested it, and now continuing down. It's got obviously this next level down here, and then it can come down to around this $101 level, and then we could probably start to put the squeeze on and come lower. The market is massively positioned long this asset, and also short the yen. So there are large positions short the yen and long the dollar. So they are ripe for a face ripping reversion play. Not to say that will be a change in the trend, but just a big pullback, bigger than what people think, which could give us that couple of weeks, maybe even a month or so, maybe longer, of nice price action in risk assets before we then have to assess the situation later on in the year when things potentially won't look as good. Not that they look good now, but just look worse. The 10-year also looking like it's putting in a topping formation here. Market not necessarily thinking the Fed is going to do as many rates as it was previously predicting. So this support area obviously important to get back down below. Gold, if we just have a look over to gold is wanting to try and get above this important area, this 1840 area. 1840 to 1880 is now pretty much the area. 1840 used to be like the main line in the sand, but we've kind of got this bit of a range now for it to break through. So if it can, then yes, potential upside, but well, resistance is resistance, and we're in a downtrend. So what is the most likely scenario? I'll ask you guys what you think. But to spoil the answer, it will be potential downside is the most likely. But that is not to say that that is what will happen. Let's also look at oil. Oil basically did wait below the support level, did bounce back above, and is now back in that support level. So it is a decision time for oil. Does it want to stay bullish in basically the top half of this channel? I mean, if we extend this along, you can kind of see it's practically the middle of the channel we're in and this support area. If it can continue upwards, and then yes, we could probably see a pretty aggressive move to the upside. But my bias would potentially be we do break down below here and then break below there, but we shall see. That bias is basically predicated on that downside bias is predicated on obviously a weakening demand. But obviously if China suddenly decides it wants to, we'll delete this anyway for the time. If China decides it wants to reopen its economy, then we're certainly going to see a surge in all commodity prices, obviously including oil. So there is that risk there. But also on the flip side, we do need China to open again to alleviate basically supply chains, and also stop the Chinese yuan from weakening, because that is basically the main correlated driver of risk assets at the moment is the weakening yen. That currency needs to strengthen up. That has been driven obviously down by the weakening Japanese yen. So if that does have a bit of a reversion, then yeah, we could probably see a very, like I said, we'll see a very nice rally. There is probably a sweet spot where we can see a very nice rally, whilst obviously everyone is practically max bearish at the moment. Ethereum Satoshi pairing not looking good here, below this support level. Did get whacked, struggling down here. So yeah, there is that. Obviously, we've got the catalyst, the merge coming. Is this a fake out move in the wrong direction before we then blast in the other direction? Potentially, we shall have to see. Ethereum USD battling with these support levels, also down there. So yeah, main takeaways from this though is that obviously this S&P needs to get basically back above 4,000 we'll call it, just to nicely round it up. And then we can start to look good. Bitcoin dominance pushing onwards and upwards as well. If we extend this, if we extend this area over, you can kind of see that was where we were battling with this resistance, but we have broke above. Obviously looking good for Bitcoin dominance. However, if we do get that pullback in the DXY and just rallying risk assets, we could potentially expect this to pull back. But we'll have to see if that happens first. So quickly over to the stochastics. 4 hour is giving us a bit of upward momentum here. 8 hour turning back up here, so that could obviously help us break fully and formally into this range here. The 10 hour, I suspect it's gonna try to be turning back up now as well. If and when it decides to load. Yeah, 10 hour just about turning back up here as well. 12 hour still coming down though. Daily pointing up though, so out of all of them it's only the 12 hour pointing down. 2 day pointing up also. 3 day turn up from that low level. 5 days still diving, and weekly still diving. Bi-weekly still basically down as well. So yeah, I mean, there is a good chance based on this stochastic read, if stock markets do have a bit of a recovery, if we do get a pullback in the dollar, if we do get basically a bit of a rally in the Japanese yen, then yes, we could see a nice bounce. Where could that bounce get us? Maybe up towards this 36 level, maybe even an absolute face melting rally could get us into this 40s area, and then we just have to reassess. That is not to say we will get rejected and come lower, which we potentially could, but we'll just have to obviously assess price action and the state of play at that point in time. So yeah, quick video today. Remember, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.